Hello, this is Camilla Alvarez, and I'm just going to go ahead and go over the research for your literature courses. So you should be working this semester on a research project where you're going to have to find scholarly sources for your essays, for your short stories, or poetry, etc., that you're reading in the class. So the assignment, the first assignment in Module 2 is asking you to actually pull up 2 articles from our databases. And I want to make sure that you know how to get into the databases, how to find those articles, and in addition, how to format that onto a document. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the steps here and show you, kind of walk you through doing that. So the first thing that we're going to do is over here from the main IRSC website, we're going to go to quick links. And from there, what we want to do is go to libraries. So this will get you into the main library site. And in order to get the scholarly articles from our databases, what I'm going to recommend is you go to databases by subject. So we're going to click over here on databases by subject. And the database that I recommend, of course, is going to be organized under L for literature. Okay, so right here you can see literary criticism. So I'm going to click on that. And that's pulled up 8 databases that work for literary criticism. And you can see I'm scrolling all the way down to these databases. Now, I actually highly recommend these databases in reverse order. So instead of starting here at the top, I'm going to recommend going to Literature Resources from Yale first, then Literary Reference Center Plus, then JSTOR, then Academic Search Complete. So I think that these are popular, I would argue, because they're on top. So this is actually a really, really good database. And one of the reasons that I really like this database is because it tells you exactly what you're pulling. So you don't have to guess, you don't have to read through it to figure out what you're dealing with. There's a lot of different types of articles that you can end up finding on these databases. So you can see you can end up getting a bibliography, a biography, a literary criticism, various multimedia, topic and work overviews, reviews and news, primary sources, and literary works. Now, one of the difficulties the other databases have is that it's kind of all jumbled and you have to read through it to figure out what you're dealing with. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a search here. Now, it automatically logged me in. If you have to log in, you're going to use your student ID number as your username, and your PIN's actually going to be your birthday. It'll be your 2-digit month, your 2-digit day. So for example, if you were born today, it would be 0129. All right, so you want to make sure you include those zeros. So that's the 4 digits for your PIN. So what I'm going to put in here is the name of the work. And I'll go ahead and select Everyday Use, which is one of the short stories that you're going to be looking at. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that. And then person by or about, that would be Alice Walker. She's the author. All right, so Alice Walker. And let's go ahead and hit search. Now, there's a couple of things that I didn't do. I didn't narrow it down, so this is as broad as we can look. You'll see that there are 17 literary criticisms, 3 biographies, 4 topic and work overviews, and 1 primary sources or literary works. Okay, so this is going to be probably the short story itself. Let me click on it. Yeah, so that's the short story everyday use itself. Under topic and work overviews, I actually love topic and work overviews because what they do, it's there's these websites that kind of give you an abbreviation, a condensed version of the short story. This is the professional version of that. So what I always recommend when you, especially when you start doing the research itself, is to get a really good topic and work overview, to get it from one of our databases, and to actually look at the word count. So over here on the side, you can see the word count. And you want to pick one of the ones that's got the most words. So like this one's going to be epic. So if you just click on that, you'll see why it's so epic. It actually has subcategories, right? So it'll have the author biography in it. It'll have the plot summary, the characters, themes, style, historical context, critical overview, criticism, sources, and further reading. So this is kind of like a one-stop shop. It's going to give you everything you need to really get into these ideas. The other thing that I really like about the database is that they do have related subjects. So this can help you with coming up with themes, getting into other categories, finding other sources, or other concepts that you might want to use in your research project. Now, so this is a topic and work overview. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to use the back arrow here and go back up. And of course, a biography, you know, is about the life of the author. And what we're kind of looking for is literary criticism. So this is the heart of it. Literary criticism is an interpretation of the work. So it's going to look at ideas in the work and how they show up. So if you watched my other video where I talk about how to interpret a story, and we look at the Kite Runner and we break it down into images, then connotation, and then themes and thematic statements. This is that process, but someone else's process. So this is someone else writing about what they found in terms of that work. So here we have hyphenated identity in good country people and everyday use. So I'm just going to click on that. And it has related subjects here on the side. So you can see identity, mother-daughter relations, the 2 main stories that are used, and the 2 authors are listed, right? So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, what you're doing for module 2 assessment is you're going to cite 2 of these articles. So right here, since I've selected the title of the literary criticism that I want to use as from this database, I'm going to click on cite. And what we use is MLA 8th edition. That's the one we use. So right here, you actually see the full source. So I'm going to hit select. You see it's highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control and C to copy it. Then I'm going to go directly to a document page. So I'm just pulling up a Word document over here. And then I'm going to right click and we can merge formatting. We can keep the text. We can keep the source formatting. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to keep the text only like that, because we do want this to be in the proper MLA format that we are using. So you can see when it jumped in here, it's in Calibri 11. MLA format, when you're using that, is Times New Roman. So I'm going to go to Times New Roman, and it's going to be font 12. And in addition to that, when you're doing a Works Cited, so I'm going to just bump this down and go up here and put in Works Cited and highlight that. And we want that centered because that's going to be our main title for the Works Cited page. And the other thing we want to make sure is we want to just look through the titles, make sure that everything is capitalized. It needs to be capitalized. Just as a thing to remember, the first word of every title is always capitalized no matter what it is. The last word of every title is always capitalized no matter what it is. And thereafter, the stuff in the middle, the things that are not capitalized, would be articles, conjunctions, and I'll write this down here, articles, conjunctions, and prepositions, right? Now, in general, if you want some additional help with this, articles are things like the, a, and. Conjunctions, think the fanboys. So those are your most common conjunctions. So that's going to be for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So just as a kind of mnemonic to remember what we're dealing with, right? And then prepositions, think of that as anything an airplane can do to a cloud. So prepositions are indication of placement, so preposition, preposition. So it's anything that an airplane could do to a cloud, right? So the fanboys. So things like in, out, up, down, right? So and in general, what they're doing now is any sort of preposition that's 5 or more letters long, they go ahead and capitalize those nowadays. But anything that's under 5 letters or more, you want to make sure that you do not capitalize those prepositions. So you can see the word in right here, and there's more than that, guys. This prepositions is a really long list. You want to make sure that you just kind of pull it up and look at all the prepositions if you're confused about what a preposition is. So you can see in right here is not capitalized, and that's correct because it's a preposition and it's under 5 letters or more. And right here is not capitalized because that is a conjunction, right? Now, the other thing that you want to be careful about is the formatting itself here. You want to go ahead and highlight that. And I'm just going to right click and go to paragraph. And the correct format, you're going to take this down to 0. I'm going to take this to double space, and you want to go to special, and you want to use a hanging indent. So you can see here in the little picture, it has the first line all the way left justified, and each subsequent line is indented. So we're going to hit OK. And you see that that is now in the hanging indent format. The last thing you want to verify is that the titles of journals and the titles of databases, those need to be in italics. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, and I'm going to go over to the I for italics. And then once again here for the literature, Gale literature. So once again, go to the I for italics. And there you go. That's the correct format. Now, when you have subsequent articles, so let me show you what the next article would look like. So I'm just going to jump down here and put in another one. And this one, I'm going to change the last name just so that we can pretend it's a different person. So let's say Jacobs. Okay. So when you have a different article that you're putting in there, you're going to actually arrange them alphabetically by whatever is first. All right, so Andrews would be first, Jacobs would come after. If you had another person, maybe Smith, that would be towards the end, right? Because it's alphabetical. So you have an understanding of that. If you have an article that does not have an author listed, and that can happen if you're dealing with encyclopedia type sources, you may not have a specific author listed. And be very careful about encyclopedias. Some of them are considered scholarly and some of them are not. Once again, it's pretty much you need to find it in our databases or in our book catalog in order for it to be considered more scholarly. So be careful with that. Access is something that is sometimes a little restricted. right, to these scholarly sources. So if you do have something that is listed without an author, then you just alphabetize that item amongst the other authors by title, right? So let's say we had another one called Hopeful Framing in Everyday Use. All right, so let's say that we had an article titled that, right? So then, of course, we're going to, and it would have additional information. Oops, like we want a single. We want to use a single quote around things in double quotes, right? So this would be listed, this article would be listed alphabetically right after Andrews, okay? So we would just bump it up to where it would be, and then it would have, you know, all its additional. So let's pretend it was in this source, just so you can kind of see what it would look like. All right. And of course, we want to put in our period. All right. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so there you go. That's the whole of it. All right, guys, I hope this helps. Thank you so much. Have a great day.